Hey out there, TGIF, thank God I'm free. So today I want to share a milestone with you. We went over the $1 million in debt mark. I'm not saying including our primary residence, because it would be even higher, or any credit cards or cars and other debt. I'm saying just from the investment properties that we have, we owe more than $1 million. Check this out. $1,004,980.21 in debt. Is that a or is it a yay? Well, for me, it's a yay. It's a milestone for a couple different reasons. Before I tell you the reasons behind the yay, I pictured calling my dad. Now, my dad's not around anymore. He passed away about 7 or 8 months ago. And I'm picturing calling my dad and saying, "Hey, Dad, guess what? I owe more than $1 million to one lender." He would have been like, "Get out while you can." He might have thrown something in there like, "Hey, isn't it about time you get a real job?" That was my dad's way of thinking. Debt. Debt is bad. Pay everything off and don't get any debt. I understand that mentality. Debt could be scary, but there's also good debt. So let me tell you why it's a yay. All right, I don't want to prolong it, but I do want to tell you what I thought of when I saw over $1 million in debt from one lender. I thought, like, do these guys know who I am? Like, they're lending me $1 million? That's crazy. Don't they know about this or that? Like, I was like laughing to myself, like, $1 million. Somebody's gonna lend me $1 million? If you would have asked me just a few years ago, like, "Hey, Harry, I'm thinking maybe I'm gonna lend you $1 million." That'd be like, when? Then they'd pull the rug from under me and say, "Nah, we were just kidding. We can't even lend you $1. Because at one time, many years ago, I didn't have that good of credit. Just saying it nice. Really bad credit. I didn't have a pot. You know the rest of that saying. And here I am, somebody lending me $1 million. You think I'm not full of gratitude? Grateful. So here's why it's yay. If I have over $1 million worth of debt on properties, this is 5 investment properties, that means that the lender sees me as a pretty good risk. And part of that risk factor is then there has to be a decent amount of equity in those houses in order for them to lend. That's the exciting part of this. I've made some videos about getting started in real estate. And that's the hardest, getting started. Going to a lender and saying, "Hey, can you take a risk on me? Can you lend me some money on this mortgage because I want to get this house?" You got to go in there a lot of times. I know for me, maybe not everybody's like this, but maybe I'm just extra sensitive, but sometimes it made me feel like I was groveling. Made me feel like I was almost begging. And in the beginning, I was begging. I didn't care. I wanted to get into this business. And now here I am with this debt. And I'm not saying I'm all that, because I'm not. But I am saying lenders look at you a little differently. If you got 5 investment properties and a primary residence and your credit is good, you walk in there. You don't have to walk in there like you are the man, but you do walk in there a little bit more confident. Like maybe I'm giving them business. Because I remember when I went to go get my first loan, it was like, oh my God, they're gonna find out about me and never lend me any money. I'm not the only one that came up with this. This isn't like a Harry new thing or something, but there is good debt. There's lots of books out there, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, other real estate investing books, other investment books. So I didn't just come up with this, but it took a while for me to realize that there is such a thing as good debt. I'm going to talk to you in a second about that. Don't pay attention to this. I was going to do a video because it is tax time, and that is not a yay. That's a However, I found some nuggets in there that made me motivated to complete the taxes, and I got them done today. So if you're like me, procrastinator, I think I'd rather eat liver than do my taxes. I have to find some nuggets in there in order to get going. So like the money that we're going to save on the investment property mortgages, once I get these taxes done, was like a nugget to get me going, and I got them done. All right, so back to good debt. Good debt to me, and I know that I'm probably not defining this as eloquently as it's described in some books, but good debt to me is definitely hand in hand with leverage, and I've made a couple of videos about that. Leverage, I want to use other people's money to buy my properties and then make money off of them. That's the key. The good debt is on assets that are appreciating. So it's not on a car, it's not on a credit card or anything like that. It's on like tangible, I don't even know if I want to say tangible, because I'm sure that there's some other debt that you could have that's maybe not tangible, but in this case, property, real estate. Good debt means I owe on these properties and these properties are appreciating and I'm gaining the appreciation even though I owe so much money on the properties. What a sweet concept. So having debt is good if it's on an asset that's going up in value. Now I know that I can have a critic out there saying, you know, real estate may not go up in value, there may be a crash. However, historically speaking, real estate has appreciated by 3% each year over however long they've been keeping records. And yes, we had that crash back in 2008. There's probably been some other ones. California had a big crash. But you know what? If you look back at the properties and the areas that had these big crashes, and you look back at the property values then, when it took a nosedive, and you look at the properties now, those same exact properties, they not only got back to square one, but they have appreciated in such a way that the average is still 3%. Go check my numbers. So for me, real estate is the asset. Thought I was going to curse, didn't you? Here's another benefit, the tax benefits. So it goes hand in hand. I'm doing the taxes. I'm putting all the properties together, coming up with expenses, coming up with write-offs, things like that, right? Holy cow. The government, the IRS, loves landlords. Who would have known? There's so many different things that you could write off on these properties that it's just amazing that I could write off property expenses. And on top of that, I've talked about this in another one of my videos, but the government allows you to depreciate these properties. I'm just going to summarize real fast about depreciation. You can't do it on your primary residence, but you could do it on investment properties, rental properties. So the government, yes, the house is appreciating, and then we're going to depreciate it. So the government lets you depreciate the property as if it's losing value over the course of, I think, 27 and a half years. So let's just say each year, let's say your property's worth $100,000, you do the calculation, you divide $100,000. Now it has to just be for the structure, not the land. Let's say your structure is $100,000, you divide it by 27 and a half, and you come up with, I don't know, let's say $3,000. I'd have to do the math. The government lets you take $3,000 and throw that in as an added benefit, depreciation. Now there's a catch. You know, there's always some kind of a catch. There's not always, but most of the time. This time there is a little catch. As long as you depreciate the property, each year that you depreciate it, when you go to sell the property later on, then you have to recapture, and I'm just doing this a real brief summary just so you guys at least get the gist of it. When you go to sell the property, you have to recapture all that depreciation. So let's say I sell the property in 10 years and I've been depreciating it $3,000 per year. That means I got to take that $30,000 and I got to then pay some taxes on it. So the government does that because they want to put an incentive in place so that I would do something called a 1031 exchange and go out and get a similar property, not take my profits and put it into another piece of property. Somebody out there that's not into real estate or investing, they could see that as a downer. Not for me. I'm not going to get rid of these properties. I'm going to cash out, refinance. That's all tax-free. And then build a legacy for my kids. Don't tell my kids though, but I plan on having lots of property to leave to them when I go. So just real brief. And again, I guess I have to put this caveat in here. Check with your accountant or tax professional that I'm giving you the right advice, because maybe I'm not. No, I think I am. So here's the write-offs on investment properties. The interest that you pay on a loan, the taxes, the repairs, utilities if you pay like sewer and water, and the depreciation. Here's another, and I don't want to kick a dead horse about good debt versus bad debt. But somebody out there might say, you know what, it's better to own property free and clear and not have a mortgage on the property. I beg to differ. The reason why I beg to differ is, first of all, I don't want to be using all my money on the properties. Anyway, I want the write-off of the interest on there also. So why not go out and take a mortgage on the property and then get the write-off on the interest? And I'm sure there's some gurus out there that could run numbers and say, oh no, this is why, because it would be more profitable. Well, if you're like me, you didn't have a choice anyway. Hey, remember that TV series, $1 Million Man? I think it was back in the 80s. Oh, I used to watch that every week it came on. Lee Majors. And then they had, I think, $1 million or $2 million woman afterwards. $1 Million Man. But in this case, it's $1 million in debt. So listen, there's loads of books out there that go into much greater detail about good debt versus bad debt. It took me a long time to come up with this conclusion that all debt is not bad. I'm making this video so maybe it'll spark something in you to think about, like either real estate or some other kind of asset. And putting a loan on it is not bad. You know, especially if you're making money on somebody else's money. Have a good weekend.